Welcome everyone to the real estate finance video. So yes, we are talking about real estate. That means land and buildings. How to make a purchase and how do you find the financing avenues for. So that's the sources of fund that we are looking into it. Land ownership. Let's say the allodial versus the filial point of view. In Roman times, the allodial system applied. The ownership of land was by an individual and absolute. In fact, it was his kingdom per se. As continental Europe developed, Roman authority disintegrated. The feudal system granted the right to occupy and use the land used by a social superior. While both these systems have shaped the ownership of property in the United States, the allodial concept dominates in US. Ownership of real property in US is considered free and absolute, subject only to government and voluntary restrictions. Now, background to financing, and I'm talking about real estate financing, mind you. In Roman societies, landowner was joined in the curia with tax gatherer who made funds available for loans. In medieval Europe, only few wealthy individuals were capable of loaning the money. With the Industrial Revolution, more individuals becomes capable of producing wealth with their ideas of machine and their machineries. With widespread wealth came the demands for ways to make better use of accumulated money, and the seeds of saving institution grew. Remember, I have just given you the coinage system for the Roman denarius and the medieval florin, as the case might be. This is what finance was all about. It erstwhile it was only few handful of people who could finance the outright purchase. So what does happen? Financing the real property loans. This is where the pledging of land as a collateral to borrow money. So you pledge your land for money. Collateral is a pledge as a protection for lender to assure repayment. The pledge as a protection for lender is known as hypothecation. Default is a non-performance of an obligation that is a part of a contract. The loan itself is evidenced by promissory note. A mortgage pledges property collateral as a security for the note. In default, if default occurs, as on when on ever, the lender can take the title of the property by foreclosures. Compensation for borrowed money. Even in earlier society, pledging rights to land ownership as a security for a loan meant some kind of compensation, some kind of remuneration to be which was due to the lender. This is what we call as interest. Charging interest for the use of one's money was considered a sin by many religious groups, including Christians, until the Middle Ages. Acceptable income was essentially only the earned by one's labor. Even to today, some society do not permit interest to be paid. An example is Islam. But to bypass the religious constraint of an upfront fee was charged for the use of the money deducted from the loan and is called discount. It is measured today in points and each point is equal to 1% of the loan amount. Today, some borrowed money is paid with interest only, and some with discounts only, and some by the combination of both interest and discount. The mortgage loan market, two levels: the primary market where the loan originates, and the secondary market where the investor purchases a loan made by others. A person seeking mortgage loan, customer is called loan originator, the person who is seeking the loan. Originator may be a bank, insurance company, mortgage company, or any other entity. The negotiation involves the loan amount, the interest rate, the discount, the collateral, qualification of the borrowers, and the terms of payment. Once a loan is made, the note and the security instruments become much more stable. The originator may retain the loan in its portfolio and sell it to another. To the secondary market, repurchases is an yield that matters. Yield is a combination of interest plus the discount, as the case might be. That is what is yield is about it. What is the final output of an investment of the money that comes around? Financial market instrument, an increased portion of the money for loans come from the sale of securities rather than on the saving deposits. Sale of securities done by the investment bankers and the stockbrokers. There are two major classes of securities: stocks and bonds. Stock representing the ownership of a corporation, bonds representing a loan to the corporation. Stock evidences ownership, bonds evidences and indebtedness. Remember, stock is all about ownership, bond is all about indebtedness. So here is the stock market or share of certificates, and this is where the bond certificate is all about, which is $1,000 altogether. During the Great Depressions, the federal government took steps to encourage lenders to make mortgage loans, as in to pledge some money, pledge some portion of land. Where are we now? It accomplished this aim by creating a FHA, Federal Housing Administration, which ensured loan against default. However, there was little money available to lend. Deposits in the banks, saving institution historically used to make loans were virtually depleted. So the federal government created a federal National Mortgage Association, which was authorized to purchase loan insured by FHA. This allowed lenders to make loans without depleting their deposits. As a result, the lenders had a new source of mortgage money together. I have already given you this particular image in my previous a few moments earlier. That is what a stock certificate is all about. It shares of the stock represent the ownership interest in the corporation. Stocks are not relevant to the subject of the real estate finance per se. Bonds, on the other hand, are corporations who can borrow money by selling different kinds of bonds. We're talking about debenture bonds, an unsecured promise to repay. Mortgage bonds, secured by pledges, in most of the cases by real estate. Equipment bond, secured by assets like railroads, cars, and aeroplanes. We have the utility bonds, secured by the pledges of assets of a state regulated utility. It can be airplanes, it can be anything that is there under the control of the government. We have the government bonds, the unsecured loan to the federal government, almost as good as secured, but still unsecured at the end of the day. Municipal bonds can be state or a municipal, and often is the most tax free bond that can be given. Mortgage backed bond, secured by a large pool of mortgage loans per se. The securities market, it must be approved by the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commissions. Similarly, approval is based on the disclosure of the financial information. I'm not talking about the value, but disclosures as to what the intent is, where the money is coming out, how it will be multiplying the money, and in what fashion. Securities are bought and probably sold on major exchanges, but sales are dominated by NYSE as the New York Stock Exchange. Altogether, NYSE. Mortgage-backed securities may bypass federal and state approval if underwritten by agencies such as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Value and resale is sensitive to the fluctuation of the interest rate. The fixed interest rate controls the prices of which it may be sold. If the bond prices rises, the interest rate are falling. If the bond prices fall, the interest rate might be actually be rising. So it is inversely proportional. So example, a $10,000 bond offers an interest rate of 5%, paying $500 every year. Assume that the bond was sold at a discount of $750 at the price of $9,250. The party paying $9,250 will still receive an interest payment of $500 each year, which amounts to a return of approximately 5.41% on the $9,250 invested. At maturity, the insurer must redeem the bond at the face value of $10,000. The bondholder then picks up the additional 750, which is a difference between 9,250 paid and the face value of $10,000. The total yield in both the annual interest and the price differential when the bond is redeemed. If the bond is sold prior to the maturity, the holder could sustain a loss if the market goes down. So the example is simple: $10,000 at 5% interest would be $500. $500 divided by 10,000 is approximately 5% of interest. But what about if $9,250 have been at a discount of $750? If we look into it, it accrues as a 5.41% of interest. Commercial papers is nothing but a simple promise to pay that is unsecured. The term is short, generally between a day or probably 270 days. That's approximately 9 months. Yields are usually competitive with short-term money market rate per se. A considerable variety of investments. This is what we're talking about: competitive market. A considerable variety of investment exists in the security market. Each type of the security must compete with the other kinds on yield, both the price of the security and the interest rate is what will be affecting the yield. The yield varies with both risk and the length of time of investment. The higher the risk, the higher the yield must be. The longer the term, the higher the yield required. Therefore, interest rate on mortgage loan should be competitive with other available security investment. And this is what we are looking into it. Investment risk. For a mortgage backed security, the risk is absolutely low. Each loan carries some kind of default risk, as in PMI, FHA, and BA. We are talking about how the mortgages backed securities are guaranteed by federal agencies and thus doubly insured. Federal underwriting reduces the risk, allowing a lower yield requirement. Lower yield requirement means lower interest rate for the borrower, as the case might be. Remember 2008, 2009, the mortgage crisis development. It is important to understand how we see the society, how the society gets into the position, and some of the generally agreed upon clauses which leads to the crisis altogether. This brings to the next regime in low interest rate environment. This is again a regime that we need to address. A low interest rate environment created by two destabilization event, the technology stock bubble and the terrorist attack on the United States. The Fed lowered the rates to help calm financial market, lowering the Fed fund rates from 6.5% at the end of 2000 to approximately 1.75% to the end of 2021. The Fed continues to make rate cut on a regular interval until the target rate is reached at least 1% of in June 2003 and did not begin to raise rate until the middle of 2004. This long period of low interest inordinately stimulated demand for mortgage debt and housing price inflation. At the same time, white collar crimes unit was shifted to Homeland Security, allowing fraudsters to instigate problems with impunity. Even in 2012 or 2012, the FBI white collar crimes unit have not been able to reach 20% of their investigating staffing levels per se. Now let us talk about the refinance book. Look at the 8%, big 8% back down to half of it as 4%. A renewed refinance boom occurred at a level unequaled in history. As in, I take a loan and somebody takes a loan from my loaned amount altogether. So I take a loan at 4%, I give it at 8%, and the difference of 4% is my profit. The lender expanded operation to meet the refined demand refinance demand altogether, along with already increasing demand for housing created by the low interest rate. When the refinance demand ended, many lenders accustomed to easy profit began to offer more innovative, probably I call it crazy loan product. Remember, I take a loan at 4% and I give a loan from that loan amount to another person at 8%. The net difference of 4% is what I make a profit. And this is crazy things. This includes subprime product, interest only options, ARMS, that allowed borrower to qualify for a larger home, enter into a housing market for the first time. Home buyers program. Many people are simply not familiar with the normal real estate acquisition and lending procedure. Basic knowledge of how to acquire and finance a real estate is absolutely critical. Repurchase, home buyers, education program benefits many, including finding more people who are eligible for home ownership. Educations also make borrowers more aware of their responsibility towards the lender, resulting in sound loans with fewer default. These programs have already been proven to their value to the buyers and lender thereby. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching it.